Very cool. I am here with Mr. Robert Mason. He has been a background singer for Ozzy Osbourne and the lead singer of one of my favorite bands, Cry of Love. Of course, yes. And Lynch Mob, so many things been involved, but he is the current singer for Warrant, out on tour right now, as well as the End Machine. And that's what we're going to be talking about. The End Machine has released their second record on Frontiers, came out April 9th, and it's called Phase 2. And Robert, man, this is great. Thanks for hanging.
Appreciate it. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, man. Cry of Love. Yeah, this is I I love that band. I love what you did with them, taking over for Kelly, and that was such a cool thing, man. I miss that music.
We had a really good time making that record, honestly. I knew those guys through Columbia, through the record label, their A&R guy, Josh, and when that came up, it's just kind of, it was a no-brainer for me. I was on the Ozzy tour.
Yeah, I know.
And I sat Oz and Sharon down. I was like, hey, I've had this opportunity. It's the same label. It's Columbia Records. Can we both work it out? And, I'd love to be a lead singer again. These guys need a guy and they need to make a record. So can we do that? And Sharon and Oz were obviously, super nice, always nice to me and very gracious about what I wanted to do. And I gave them months to kind of wind down my tenure in that band. And then we just installed ourselves in the studio and pre-production in the studio in North Carolina, made that record.
Yeah.
It's funny. Somebody just turned me on to a July of 97. We were opening for the Allman Brothers. I think it was Charlotte or maybe Walnut Creek or one of those places in the South, and outdoor amphitheater in the summer, so hot and humid.
Yeah.
We went on opening for the Allman Brothers like in right before dusk. So, and our band kind of scared the crap out of the Allman Brothers crowd. We're just a little bit heavier than that. So,
yeah,
those guys were so cool to us, and to have been such a Dwayne Allman fan growing up, and to actually, and Warren Haynes at the time was in the band, was amazing, and being able to see Greg and the whole band was really cool.
Man. And that's I saw Cry of Love as very much a more rockin' version of the Allman Brothers. It's that kind of thing.
Maybe, everybody wants to label you and compare you to something.
Sure.
So I think it kind of, the first record maybe laid more between that line and a little Free Humble Pie Bad Company, depending on Kelly's voice and the production too. Custer did an amazing job on that Brother record as well.
Yeah.
For our record that John produced, I think Audley would maybe agree, he was going for more like a Southern blues meets Exile on Main Street, Stonesy kind of, there were little tinges of the Stones and little tinges of the Who, or like the Byrds when that early country rock influence. Audley's got great musical influences, and he's so musically intelligent, and he's a smart cat.
Yeah, and that music,
great stuff on the record.
Oh, it's just crazy. I threw that on I knew I was going to be talking to you. I threw that back on, and it's like
refresher course.
Oh, but yeah. But it was just, it was fit again like a glove. Fire in the Dry Grass and stuff like that.
I'm kind of fiercely proud of my performances on that record, and although, like I said, Audley had a ton of time to write songs, and a lot of that stuff was complete. Even with like a guide vocal on or some sort of thing. And he and I went through that, and man, everything was just so great. And it was just like, I could just walk in and sing this.
That's cool.
With very, very little. Obviously I do what I do. So I guess there's like a small percentage of, even if something's complete, I still have to put my stamp on it. Inadvertently. It's not like I go about it. It's like, I need to make it for
right.
But the sound comes out.
Thing, so. Yep, sure does. And you do that, man. Right? And I most noticed that with Warrant, actually. We all knew Warrant, we all knew Cherry Pie, we all knew that music. With Janie, of course. You step in, you're a different singer. It's you put your stamp on that music, and it has changed. And everybody that loved the old Warrant loves the new Warrant too. And
I'm super thankful, and that's my greatest hope, actually.
uh,
When you put I'm a genetically different human in there, that its voices are like fingerprints and snowflakes. They're all somewhat little bit different. So
yep,
you do the melodies, and you I try to stay as true to the legacy as I possibly can,
yeah,
and make fans happy, because that's what they deserve, and that's honestly what they expect, and they have nostalgia for that back catalog of songs. And I'm a fan. I was a fan. You know what I mean? So,
right,
and Lane and I were friends. Janie and I toured around together. Lynch Mob opened for Warrant Arenas in '92 when we
yeah,
both had records out.
yeah,
So all of that combined kind of brings me to that place where I'm super focused at every show on how the fans react to it.
yeah,
And man, they just want to forget their problems and hear those songs and remember those times, be
yep,
nostalgic for that time period, and still be entertained.
yeah,
So it's a responsibility, but I'm blessed with it. If that I'm
yeah.
blessed with that job.
Yeah, that's cool. And it's an intense responsibility, because those people are pretty rabid about their Warrant. I know that
Oh
you know
man, our fans are just, yeah,
oh,
and the
oh
old
yeah.
school diehards will let you know. It's like,
Yeah.
in '89, I saw you. I saw the band open for Paul Stanley in Connecticut and blah blah blah. And they're like, wow.
And you better match up. Damn it, don't ruin
Yeah.
my experience.
Well, the cool thing is, our voices are not too dissimilar that I can't. My voice is maybe clear, maybe used to be clear or higher up, and but I love gravelly, and I love that whiskey soaked kind of thing, and I've developed that through the
Yeah,
years, like as much as I'm able. Uh, but I love singing like that. And Lane had a lot of grit, but those songs, it's funny. We were thinking back. It's the 30th anniversary of Cherry Pie, and it was the 30th anniversary of Dirty Rotten in 2019. So, we're going out in our 50s, and I've got to like manage to squeak all of those songs out of my voice that were written by a guy in his early mid 20s.
yep. They can't
And
be easy.
it's not so much pat me on the back as it is like it makes you really think about how much time has gone by and how much the world has changed and how much, but still people tap into that nostalgia, and instantly they're brought back to those moments in time that they have this audible timestamp on.
Yeah,
And you meet them at
yeah,
meet and greets, and they're like, "Oh, I was this, I was that. This song influenced me this way. This song," and then I've had the luxury of making two records with the band too. So
hmm,
there are a fair bit of fans from those as well, without the big record company machine, without radio,
yep,
because of us pounding the pavement and playing like 50, 60 live shows a year since I joined the band.
yeah. Then that's
So
that's just huge. I mean, when
yes.
you take a band of that popularity and you start to make new records, you might start to lose. You would think start to lose those old. It's not the Warren I love and I know and love. Uh,
Well, and it won't be, but it's 4 out of 5. And well, I hate
it's
to say it, like make it a math equation, uh, but it's the core of the band is still the band. And even if I write a song and bring it, they play it,
uh,
which has been the case. And I kind of understand the Warrant wheelhouse, and because I was
right.
a fan and I understand what it shouldn't be.
Hmm.
Janie was an amazing songwriter. I don't put myself in anybody's, like I'm not that guy who does the me I. It's hard in interviews to not do that, and then I feel it's funny. It's like in an interview, I feel like I'm talking about myself too much. Like it's weird.
It's
So
funny. It's funny you say that, because I talked to George. It's probably 6 months ago now.
mhm.
And he started out like that. And George is a different guy. He's a whole different animal. Uh,
And he can be really introspective, and he's a super smart guy, but
hmm.
he can be a little like quiet and almost unaffected,
Yes,
self-deprecating at times. And I'm like, dude,
yes, yes. You're a god, my friend. So it's like,
thank you.
yeah. But he started off by saying, oh, here we go. This is where I talk about myself all for a half an hour, or whatever.
But sometimes that's the position we find ourselves in, and as uncomfortable as you are with it at times, and I'm the same.
Yeah.
You just kind of go like, look, people want to know this stuff, so
Yeah, and we love you, man. I mean, it's it's just
hugely appreciated.
it really I come as a fan, and I know how fans are, and we want to hear from you, and we want to know you're happy and you're safe and you're having a good time and you're all is good. And
I mean, I get to do my favorite job that I've ever had, and
yeah, that's
manage to
cool.
pay the bills doing it. So yeah, I couldn't be more happy actually. And after this break, it made it put it real in perspective on you know the
Yeah.
grind of touring and how we
Yeah.
fly with no more buses. So it's flying everywhere, and
Right.
you're kind of out there with the masses.
Yeah.
I think 90% of what we do, maybe even almost all now, the past few years has been like commercial flights. So you're out there. Every once in a while we'll jump in a charter or something if we have, if logistically we have to get someplace
Right.
or if it just works out that way, we will. But yeah, I mean, you feel like a traveling salesman. You're just selling these songs to people, and you got to go. My commute to work last week was Friday to Syracuse through Atlanta, and then a show in Syracuse on Saturday, and then the reverse of that to go home yesterday. So, you're kind of that's what it takes to do my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I love to see you. I love to see you
I'll
out
glamorize it, but man, it's,
there. Oh, it's a
it's
grind.
it's
It's a
it's not for everybody.
no doubt. Now you've been you're almost halfway through the tour, right? You got a lot of dates to do. It's been
Well,
going
as
pretty
far
well.
as the Warrant thing,
Yeah, with Warrant.
uh, we started up. We've only done 5 shows since we've been back.
Oh,
We
okay.
normally do a full schedule, and like I said, 50, 60 ish historically. It was starting even to ramp up in 2019 or early 2020. We managed, I think, 3 shows in 2020, the last at the end of February, before everything locked down.
Okay.
And before I knew it, I was home for 15 months.
It's crazy.
So, did the End Machine record, which was great. And it was fun. A little different because it was going through ideas via Zoom instead of, hey, let me just fly
Right.
out to California and hang out and we'll finish this.
Right.
I recorded that way. Obviously, recorded at Jeff's studio, and on
Hmm.
I make him laugh at the summit of Mount Pilsoni
Hmm.
for Pilsen. So it's Mount Pilsoni is the name. So Pill Sound Studios.
There you go.
But George did the majority of, if not all, the stuff from his studio, and he doesn't even live that far away from Jeff. So
Right.
like Jeff's down here and George's on the other side of Magic Mountain over here. I
Right.
had to zip in and zip out a couple of times to make this record, but
It's
writing and finishing stuff up via Zoom. Uh, we wanted everybody's input. At least the three of us. I kind of wanted to explore, and I think Frontiers did as well. I know I've said this in other interviews. What made the Dokken formula the Dokken formula,
hmm
and George and Jeff have that. They are that quarter of Dokken. So,
right.
and a lot of the songwriting and pre-production stuff fell on them as well through the years. So Jeff Pilson pitched some great melody and or lyric ideas. I took suggestions from George as well, and just to make this record different than the first one. So the Phase 2 one has a little bit more where the first record was those guys just handed me instrumentals, and then Jeff and I would look through all my lyric ideas, figure stuff out, write some stuff on the fly, present Jeff with stuff, and like this is what I'm thinking. Sing a scratch vocal in the control room,
Okay.
and then we go, okay, let's look at the lyrics. I feel this is the chorus, this is whatever. There's a section of the song that doesn't have to happen that many times, because they kind of overwrote a ton of
Okay.
music.
Right. Right.
And the first record was a little more experimental, trying to make it its own animal and establish it, not make it too heavy-handed Dokken or too heavy-handed anything,
Okay.
and use all of our collective influences. But the lyrics and melodies were mine, and Jeff and I would confer. It's like, does that word really work as well as, what if this? So it was he and I together kind of fine tuning it, and then I would look at the arrangement and say,
Okay.
the chorus happens, and then there's this bridge. Why is this bridge this long?
Right.
Just this long, you know? And then there's a solo, and let's do that. And like, because in the cut and paste world of like
Yeah.
Pro Tools and virtual computer-based recording, man, you could just go bananas with that stuff.
Right. Right.
You know, and like,
Sometimes too much.
move over, edit. Well, but it was a useful tool, and Jeff Pilson,
Sure.
again, is great in the studio with that.
Yeah.
And he's so musical, and our voices work. Like, he's got a great background voice for mine
Yeah.
as a lead vocal, so it wasn't like it didn't fall on me to do every vocal on those records, which is okay. And it works for some bands. It just, I wanted Jeff's voice. I wanted at the time Mick's voice, and now Steve's voice on that.
Right.
So in the process of recording those records, it works. It's got a great blend between the musicians. And George is George, man. Like, he picks up a guitar, your guitar, his guitar. You know, a guy at a cup in a bar, he picks it up and it just sounds like him. All the time. He plays his way.
It's so
He's
bizarre.
got a signature. Well, but it's great. And the thing is,
It's amazing.
I think we tapped into more of that. What made Dokken so cool back then, we tried to bring forward in little bits and not make it so, you know, it wasn't like a callback or like, you know, cheesy or dated. We hoped. I mean, fans will tell us, you know, what you do, you put it out there and you go, okay, do you like it? You know,
right. Right.
We'll see.
And I love this record. I like it. I like the first record. I like this record even more. I don't know why this one strikes me more. It's not as experimental. It's a little more of, well, yeah, I love when you do that cry of love type thing. You know that soulful thing. It's
So that's
just
where I come from. Like, you know, that was the component that was not going to be Dokken.
right.
Because I'm
Right.
not Don and I don't sing like that. So I've got my own way of going about things, and tons of different influences that I, you know, sometimes I wear on my sleeve, and some of them that I would say you'd be like, really? You like that? You know, so,
Yeah.
but it takes, you know, you're a product. I'm at least a product of everything I've heard and listened to and saw
Hmm.
throughout the years, and you gravitate toward that, and it helps to make you what you are.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, I appreciate when you say that too, because I was hoping I could kind of inject enough of that, and still, like I said earlier, get back to that, some of those key things musically that made Dokken cool. And we really worked hard on, let's make the choruses, let's not overthink it, but let's make the choruses big and, you know, hooky. We were a little, like I said, I hate to go back to using that word experimental, but on the first record, it's not that I think the choruses were weird or eclectic or small,
Yeah.
but I had no thought in my head of, you know, of Dokken on that first record.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you that too. Is, you know, a lot of people see this band as Dokken with a different singer, especially when Mick was there.
And the thing is, initially, I know in all the press for the first record, I think I said somewhere that if it would have been pitched to me like Dokken with me stapled onto the front, that I just wouldn't have done it, and I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I resisted at first because of that. The first talks that Jeff and George and I had. Then he called me. He's like, "We got Mick on board. We're gonna make this its own animal." And I said, "Cool, I'm in."
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh,
speaking of animals.
Yeah, it's a damn barnyard out here. I've seen something.
Now that's not a chihuahua or anything.
No.
What is that? House cat? Yeah.
Just a small horse. That's
yeah, no doubt.
Mixed with moose. So I know I may have interrupted your question train of thought.
No, not at all. Not at all. The hardest part about making this record, would you say it was the Zoom calls and the things like that, not getting together in the same room?
That's honestly, there wasn't a hard part. That might have been, but that, you know, that would just be kind of like just complaining and nitpicking. We did what we had to do.
Yeah.
George, everybody's got a cool little studio setup in our collective
Mhm.
pads. So it was not really a challenge so much as, okay, we have to do it this way now. It's a little different, but we'll get used to it. And we all have good internet access, so we
Yeah.
just got on Zoom calls and talked everything out. There was a lot of talking going on, and
Yeah.
sometimes, in all candor, I'll be completely honest. I would not mute them, but I would turn the volume down, get in my headspace because it was kind of onus on me to write a lot of lyrics and get these ideas going. I think we had a slow start, and then Jeff emailed me a couple of ideas that were really cool, but then if someone sends you some words and a melody over a chorus or a pre-chorus, and in this case it was, I think he sent me a few choruses, a couple of which, I think two or three of them ended up being like, cool, I love that. But he's singing about something. I have to interpret. I have to know the lyrics. I have to look at the words. I basically have to make the rest of the song cohesive, or else I
Right.
wouldn't be happy. And I would. So what are the verses? What's the song about? What's the verses about? Sometimes it's just, well, I just like the way those words sing. I'm like, all right, now you invent, like, it's like writing a book and just having someone tell you, here's the title. All right,
Right.
go just finish. You could do the little stuff. You could just finish the book. I'm like, well, fuck me. What do I? Okay, fine.
Right.
And then I'm inspired to what I'm inspired by, and then obviously then I bring that back to them and say, what do you think of this? And 99% of the time they were like, holy crap, how did you even
Yeah.
come up with that? Like, that's cool. Or I would sing little scratch versions and email them over to them after a Zoom session, because I'll sit after and absorb everything we talked about. I've got
Right.
a bunch of notes, and I've been writing lyrics on the fly. So sometimes I would get ideas, mute them, thumb type a whole bunch of lyrics out on
Right.
my phone, and text it to them, and then take them off mute. I'm like, hey guys, check your phones. Why?
Well,
Because I just sent two verses and another chorus,
there you go.
and I'm working
Way
on the
cool.
bridge. Or I'd go, like, to warm my coffee back up, I'd go in the kitchen from my office, I'd go back in and I did that with Plastic Heroes. I did that with, God, was it Crack the Sky? And I
Mm,
came up with choruses because I'm in that mode. Sometimes I need quiet and to be away from people and every other source of stimulation cut out.
right.
It's not like I need to be in a hyperbaric chamber or anything, but you need to kind of cut yourself off from all the other junk. No TV, no radio, no music, no nothing, and
Right.
just sit. And I'll sit sometimes in this room with a piano or guitar and hammer it out, and then that's what inspires you to do something. Or I'll be in the shower, like I come up with great ideas in the shower. That's why phones should be completely waterproof. Uh, or like on a motorcycle, you come up with I've pulled over to the side of the road and just typed a bunch of stuff. I mean, back in the day, I've pulled over to the side of the road and called the house, spoken into my own answering machine a bunch of lyrics,
There you go,
and that was the way you had to do it.
man.
You're out in the
Yeah.
middle of nowhere on a motorcycle, no pen, no paper. The idea
Right.
comes to you. So
Yeah, that's cool. And what I think is great about End Machine too, you have Pilson, who's a big writer, big producer. This guy is just
yeah,
full of ideas. I know he is. And George is, his wingman for sure. Those guys are together. They
yeah.
let you into that. They trust you with, that whole lyrical thing and,
I've known
the
each other a long
formation.
time, and Jeff and I got on really well working on Louder, Harder, Faster, the Warrant record. So
Mhm.
subsequent to doing that, we realized, oh, we think the same 90% of the time. We don't have to arm wrestle each other over too many ideas, and it just kind of flows really well. He's got great gear. He's, like I said earlier, musically minded, so smart,
Yeah.
and we just, I'll hear. It's funny in the writing process. I'll hear all of the influences, and it's almost like a game you play, where you're like, "Oh, you sent me that piece of music. I hear ELP in Kansas, but then I hear
Right.
Iron Maiden, and I hear, like, what else is that? What else is in there?"
Right.
So
That's cool.
it's almost like to before there's anything there. It's not like I want to pigeonhole it, but you can hear what happens. And this time it was like there's a Dokken riff. I'm like, did you take this other riff and just do it backwards from an old Dokken record? And like, did you reimagine how this would sound if you played it backwards or different or sideways or, and that's kind of,
Right.
he may not do it that way, but it's his wheelhouse, and he wrote those songs the first, wrote those riffs the
Sure.
first time around. So it's just, okay, we need a fast song. Okay, well, Tooth and Nail's a fast song. Okay,
Hmm.
so what do I do? And you'll have to ask him, but those riffs would come to me instrumentally, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, shit. Now I need to write around that. Okay.
Yeah, that's it's pretty cool how it all comes together. And I think that's what I love about the End Machine record most is, I hear everybody in there. I hear all of these different things, and it's not just a great melting pot. It's really cool. Um,
I appreciate it. That's high praise.
yeah, it's an amazing record. Your vocal approach going into this, now you're doing Warrant and this at the same time, um pretty different bands. Is your vocal approach are you're always Robert Mason? I think we know that.
To the best of my knowledge.
But when you go into the studio,
I don't know.
when you go into the studio to cut a Warrant,
Halloween, that's
there you go. You go into a studio and cut a Warrant record, and then you go into the studio and cut an End Machine record. There's got to be a different. Do you prepare differently? Do you have to be in a different headspace, or is it just, it's just you singing?
I think the music always puts me in a different headspace. I write or co-write a lot of the Warrant stuff, even musically, so I have to think about that component of it. The End Machine is traditionally, like I said, the first record, those guys just started sending me these instrumentals and said, "What do you think? Can you do something with this?" So it's a slightly different process. I don't know. Songwriting is a weird thing. I'm not an exclusive. Oh, I have to have this and then this comes thing. It's every which way. A melody somewhere will be a cappella somewhere, like I said, on a motorcycle or an idea or even a riff or guitar thing, and I have to stop and put it down. So going in to do a Warrant record, though, two guitars
Right.
and all different players. Jerry Dixon, really underrated bass player. He plays like sometimes he's got, it's like sometimes it's Steve Harris vibe mixed with Tom Peterson, mixed with James Jamerson, mixed with, all these little things. Joey and Eric have their influences, and they've got a totally different approach to playing guitar than George has. Plus, there's two of them, so
Right.
either side of me. So
Yeah.
there's like a dual guitar assault. So you have to consider those two elements. If I'm writing something, I'll come up with something that I know would suit Eric and would suit Joey, and that are different, but together make a complete thing.
Right.
So it's different than like the Van Halen three-piece with a singer idea,
Right.
where it's like if there's a guitar solo, there's no rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
unless you're overlapping and running tracks and stuff,
Wow.
which neither of our bands do. So
Yeah.
but yeah, and Stephen Sweet, not only singing the high background vocals all the time, he's got a great singing voice. And traditionally in Warrant, he's the guy doing all those high backing vocals. He's got his own way of playing. So he's got his style of drums. I think in the Warrant thing, when we're doing that, Steve and I have worked together on punctuating, like playing drums for the song, for the sections of the song, instead of just holding down a beat.
Right.
To punctuate, like he's great at taking my input as far as, oh, dude, can you do this like thing off this? And I'm not a drummer, but I understand the rhythm of it. I know what I like.
Right.
So in that band, like we would do pre-production where maybe Dixon and I would come up with demos at his studio of a whole song with just the two of us, between guitars, bass, and like drum machine, and then I would say, okay, the drums are super basic, but you see where I'm going for. There's like cymbal hits and accents to accent and punctuate to beginning of a chorus, or
Yes.
lift the drums, and Steven's great at that.
Yeah. That really enhances a song for me.
My favorite stuff was when drummers would play like that.
Yeah. Like, when the lyric matches a specific cymbal sound, if somebody says star comes out or something, and bang,
and
you hear
there's a
that.
place to leave a hole in the music as well.
Yeah.
So the cool stuff happens when nothing's happening. Like for me, the cool stuff happens in all the holes.
Right.
You don't
Right.
want you don't want just this like on cacophony of stuff. Just my opinion. I
Mhm.
love the push and pull
Yeah.
of like crosstown traffic, Jimi Hendrix, where it's just there's big open ups. ACDC made immense use of that, where
Yeah.
there's just you don't. I think having quiet gives you such a better appreciation of when the power comes in, and
Yes.
dynamics are huge to me. So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, completely. Completely. And
moving from
especially,
classical to pop to all that stuff to rock.
mhm.
So
Oh
I
yeah.
was raised with all of that.
Yeah. And and it shows. All, like I say, it's an amalgamation of all that. There's all kinds of things in this record, but this End Machine record especially is really, really diverse record. Now you did Rat for an hour and a half. Um,
Well, I didn't. I was never in the band. I was approached by the guys. In fact, Rob Crane and I were talking about this just the other day. I think I saw Blotzer and Robbie somewhere when Robbie was in the band.
right,
Uh, Barney's Beanery, like around the NAMM show, because I was in LA and I think I was having dinner with some friends and they ran into me. And it
okay,
was just a moment in time when, all honesty, I think they were not getting along with Steven, or he didn't want to do a tour that they wanted to do, and they had a bunch of dates and promoter on the line. And the band, anybody who knows anything about Rat knows that they've had ups and downs, and they have a dynamic within the members where they're not always getting along. So they put it to me as like, hey, we have this thing, we have dates. Steven doesn't want to do them. We're going to do them. I'm like, immediately that kind of made me feel a little weird.
right,
But I love Rob Crane, and Blotz was always really cool to me. So, and Warren DeMartini, who wouldn't, at the time,
yeah,
like, I'm sitting there going, well, in fact, George introduced me to DMAR in '91 when I was brand new in Lynch Mob. So I've known him that long.
nice,
And
yeah,
this was '99, I think, '99, 2000, '98,
yeah,
whatever it was. I think it was around '99.
okay,
And I was in LA, and they're like, "Oh, come down to rehearsal and just come hang out." And we played some covers. Warren loves Aerosmith, so we played a couple of songs, and then like
right,
I learned a couple of Rat songs. I kind of halfway knew it through one or two others, and everybody really liked it. So everybody thought, I think everybody's wheels were spinning like, oh, we could get a brand new singer. And I'll be quite honest with you, and I was that way with them too. I went to one or two of those rehearsals. I went home. I got the hard sell, and I'm getting a call for my next interview.
oh
That's
shoot,
11:30. I'm sorry.
all right,
Um, but uh, but the short end of that story was, yes, we played for John Kolodner at the Viper Room in the afternoon, and he came and saw it. He came right up to me. He's like, "Man, it sounds great, but to me, it's not Rat." And it was kind of like that was lingering in the back of my head the whole time.
yeah,
Steven's the voice of that band. I'm not. He has a
right,
distinctive voice, and he does what he does. And that, that kind of took it out of that. Wow, these guys are fun to jam with. To this is not really the right thing for me to do. And as much as I like them and everything, it just wasn't the right thing for me to do at the time. I had
right,
another project that I was trying to get off the ground, so I kind of went into that. And I was writing a lot with these other people, and I they were like, "Okay, full steam ahead, let's go." I'm like, "Didn't you hear what John said?"
right.
So a couple of them were tough to convince, but I said, "Look, Steven's the singer in your band, and he's the voice of your band. He should be
Yeah,
the singer in your band."
yeah,
And it would have been cool. We might have had to change direction a lot. It could have been great,
mhm,
and they carried on. They got somebody and carried on. So uh, it just wasn't the right thing for me at the time. Warrant was much better fit. I had the history.
okay,
It was kind of a legacy. Lane's voice and mine are not too dissimilar, and I
okay,
saw those four guys just really wanting to keep the Warrant train rolling, and fans that wanted to see it. So it was the right decision for me.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, obviously, you guys done great stuff together. I'm gonna let you go. I
Okay.
got one more for you.
Yes.
Somebody wants to hear your voice for the first time. What should I play with for them? You've done so many different things. Warren stuff's different than End Machine, then is different from Cry of Love.
Um, I like Burn the Truth on the first End Machine record. That sounds like me.
Okay.
But then again, in 1996, like Fire in the Dry Grass sounds like me, or Rattlesnakes and Queens, or
Mhm.
Bring Me My Burden, which sound it's all. I'm blessed to have been able to cultivate, whatever I can do, and I have a versatile enough voice still in my middle 50s that I could do a couple of different things. It's funny, people want to pigeonhole you. You do one. If you're an actor, you could play a serial murderer, then you can play a space alien, then you can play a priest, and you're praised for your amazing dynamic range and your acting ability. But if I did a country record, people would crucify me.
I wouldn't. I want to hear it.
From Lynch Mob to Cry of Love, like 92 to 96, people were like, "Well, which one is really you?" Like, it's all really me.
Definitely. Well, I'm looking forward to that country record, Rob.
No.
That and there's the blabbermouth right there.
And there's the quote. No, I write a lot on piano, so maybe there's a piano and vocal record someday. I don't know. I've written for other people. I do go to Nashville and write songs every once in a while, traditionally to try to make myself a better writer, because I hardly fancy myself, Paul McCartney.
Yeah. Well, hey, we'd love to hear anything you got, man.
Well, appreciate it as always.
Definitely.
Dude, I really appreciate the time.
You too, man, and I appreciate your time. And yeah, come see me. I'm around Chicago, man. I can't wait till you guys make a date and through End Machine. Is End Machine gonna tour?
In a word, I don't think. Well, in a word, no, but in more words, I don't think so. Our schedules are too manic. I think Warrant has an Arcata Theater coming.
Oh, that's my
St. Charles.
So yeah. We've
got stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm ready for you, man.
We love those guys.
Yeah.
Man. I'm not cutting you short. We have a brutal day. Apparently, there's even more than I thought.
Man. Hey, and that's good news, man. Yeah. Enjoy your day. Enjoy talking about yourself, man, because we love you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care, Robert. Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.